Hi. I got to thinking about three things that I wanted to share about today. One of them is this idea of regeneration, that we can regrow, we can come back from things that are very challenging. I want to tell you a little story, because obviously it's kind of clear that I sign while I talk, and it's because I live overcoming a medical condition. I've had it my whole life. I was born with it, and it was maternally inherited. So my mother had it. My grandmother had it. And when I was a very little girl, as happens to a lot of children, they get infections when they're little. And when I was little, I had a kind of a challenged little body. And by the time I was about 3 years old, I had chronic ear infections throughout the time since birth. And not unlike a lot of other people who end up deaf, I got a really, really bad infection. I ended up having chicken pox and measles at the same time. I ended up with a temperature that was up to 106 degrees Fahrenheit. And I remember my mother she was German, German woman. But I remember the doctors and my mom putting me in ice water bath to bring down the fever, and it being a very frightening experience for me as a little girl. But I remember staring at my mother's face and realizing I couldn't no longer hear her voice. I couldn't hear her voice. I could see that she was talking to me, but I couldn't hear anything. And I was burning up and having just completely crazy dreams. It was weird. I remember being rushed to the hospital, and there at the hospital, this was in Santa Barbara, California. There, the doctors did this. They did this surgery. They just laid me out on a gurney, and they took long needles and they stabbed them into my ears. What they were doing was the name of it is called bilateral laryngotomy. And what it's designed to do is it's designed to relieve the pressure on the inside of the inner eardrums, and to prevent them from bursting and breaking and then scarring, because that had, in my time, that had caused a lot of people to become permanently deaf, and they were trying to stop deafness. So they were trying to do something. They were trying to help me. What they did was traumatize me. But I remember the whole thing, and I remember my parents having to hold me down and crying as they did this thing, and then afterwards I just kind of was pretty traumatized. I just sort of lay there, and as the weeks went by, I was inside. I was deep inside somewhere, and my orientation, my perspective on the world was changed really radically. Why? Because everything became visual, like a visual vacuum. And this is the sign in ASL to eye hear. Hear with our eyes. So that's kind of when my whole system just kind of shifted over. Visual became really important, and apparently I stopped talking, and so after a long while, it seems like it was quite a long while, a few months, there was a day that I recall the sun coming in through the window, and there was the sun, and the pain had kind of subsided, and I thought that I heard my mother's voice. My mother sang opera, and she loved international folk music and opera and classical music. Loved music, lived for music. And so she'd been horrified about the idea that her little girl could end up deaf, and she was terrified. What she really wanted was for me to be able to enjoy music. And so I was lying there, and there was some warm sun coming in the window, and I remember that I thought I heard my mother's voice, and I thought that she was singing. She would often sing when she was cooking in the kitchen. She would often sing, and I thought, is that my mom's stem? Is that my mom's voice? And sure enough, she came walking into the room, and I could see that she was singing, and I could hear her again. Now, the reason I tell the story is that it seems just absolutely like it's not possible. It's not possible? How is that possible? But the story was a story of both change, dramatic change, and being inside, awaiting for this regeneration. And also the experience of becoming accustomed to what was inside, changing to this, noticing all of the visuals, and then the surprise of getting hearing was actually, it was coming back again. It was coming back. I've met 2 other people who ever experienced this same surgery, and one of them is a deaf friend who works as a registered deaf interpreter in Hawaii, and he had the same experience, only his hearing never returned, and from age 7 on he remained deaf. Another was a hearing woman that I met in the United States before I moved back to Europe, who, once she got her hearing back, she had remained hearing on throughout her life, whereas my hearing was destroyed and went apart again by the time I was 54 years old. So, given this experience in my body of knowing how things can change, and now my body kind of has a knowledge of its own. It has a knowing of its own. As I began meditation a few years back, I began to open my mind, open my heart again, and really think about how to have this conversation with my body in a new way. And now that we're in solitude, I guess I want you to think about this as an opportunity, because we're living in a time of what they're calling social distancing, to be able to physically stay apart, not be in proximity, because we don't want to pass the contagion of the virus. I want to say, and this is my second point besides regeneration, we can still have profound connection. We can have profound connection within our own body and have really amazing communication with our own body in solitude. And we can also have communication with other people, because we have the great benefit, we have the blessing, if you will, of the World Wide Web and the internet, so that we can connect socially. So this is a time when I think it's important to do that. It's important to be able to kind of open up the heart and share things that we know about our lives with each other, because we need to spread instead of the contagion, this is my third point, instead of spreading the contagion of fear, we need to spread the connection, the universal connection that we can experience by going deep in our bodies, understanding the energy and the power that lives in here, and understanding the connection of that energy and that power to every other organism, every other living thing in the world, in the quantum. So that's why I tell you the story, is to never underestimate the body. To go back to meditation as I meditate now, and people would never, they would never expect this, they would never believe it. I didn't expect it, I didn't believe it, but I'm beginning to hear high frequency sounding in. I'm beginning to hear violin. I can now hear violin again, and I can hear crickets. I can hear crickets. No one would think that hearing, could regenerate. I didn't want that. I wanted to keep walking. What I have meditated about, my issue is I want to keep walking. I want to have my walking back. I want to be able to walk, and eventually, I expect to dance again. In the meantime, I have these great trekking poles, and that's a story for tomorrow, on day 3. But I guess I just want to share the idea that even if we have the coronavirus, if we get sick, that the body knows amazing things, and never underestimate the body's capacity to create new connections and to create with the energy of the quantum. I want to just share that encouragement, that expectation that to become sick is not the end of everything. To become sick might be the beginning. It might be the start, of a new journey forward. I want people to understand that is possible. That is possible. We each have our own individual path, but all of that is possible. And to send you opening your mind, opening your heart, trusting in the connections that are possible, trusting the connection to your own body, your energy body, your deep energy body. If you look at the courses on the internet right now, you can see the work of a woman whose name is Barbara Eden. And Barbara Eden is a woman who, because of her own healing experience, has the unusual ability to be able to see energy systems in the body the way some of us can see visual things. She sees the energy that's flowing throughout the system and actually sees it clearly, visually. And so there's more to life than just the physical. There's this energetic reality that we live in, and I want to encourage you to tune into it, and I want to encourage you to trust it, because this is a very compelling journey that we're all on as humankind right now, and it's full of opportunity. It's full of opportunity as well as challenge. So that's my story for today, my 3 points, and I send you love. I send you all love. And see you tomorrow.